Welcome to the Lead Defend podcast, a show designed to help you grow in faith and leadership as you navigate the stages of young adulthood. We address important faith topics and provide practical life tips, helping you build up your faith as you engage a changing culture. Now, here are your hosts.
Hey guys, welcome to Lead Defend. It's Ryan and Brock here, and we have Dithson Noel. Now, Dithson, your name is spelled Dithson.
Yes.
So, just for everybody's sake, tell us how to pronounce it really clearly.
Michael.
Michael. Is Michael your first name?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
That's
It's
awesome.
Dithson.
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 So the H is pretty silent.
The H is silent.
All right,
H
that's
silent.
fair.
But
Okay.
and I'll tell you a funny story. I called the AT&T company and I said, hey, listen, somebody sent me a text because somebody was trying to scam me or something like that, and said, hey, someone sent me a text. Is it true that I'm getting a gift card for whatever for my last payment? And he's like, no, but you know what's crazy? Your name is Dithson. I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's my best friend's name. I said, really? I said, that's your best friend? I said, what's your best friend's ethnicity? He's like, Filipino. So I was like, oh my goodness. I said, so what does Dithson mean? I've been trying to figure out what my name meant my whole life. I thought my dad just made it up out of nowhere. But it means very helpful person.
Hey, bro, that's good. Now,
That's a good name.
Speaking of very helpful person, you actually work for the North American Mission Board,
Yes.
helping students give a portion of their lives to the mission field through church planting, different things like that.
Yes.
And so,
Yep.
Dithson, you lead an initiative called the Go2 Initiative. And so tell us a little bit about Go2 and what that is.
So Go2 is really just what we want to do is encourage students to live their lives strategically after they graduate, right? But just really it's helping them see how to be faithful, giving, missional, living church members.
Yeah.
Right? So this is really like what I don't know a better way to explain that just than saying that, right? We want them to be faithful, we want them to live on mission. We want the community that they had in college to be continued in their church life. We just pray, our prayer is that they'll just be successful, continue their faith, and use their gifts that God has given them.
Sure.
Yeah. So what target audience you mentioned after high school? You also mentioned college experience. So who's the target audience for Go2?
Primarily, it's collegiate graduates, right?
Okay.
That's the way when Pastor J.D. Greer really opened this up to the SBC. He was really implementing something that he's been doing, and he just wanted to figure out a way that the IMB and NAM, the International Mission Board, and the North American Mission Board could really partner in mobilizing all the collegiate students, right? I mean, because if we're honest, like that's one of the biggest missionary pools in the world, honestly, right? You guys get opportunity to spend time with collegiate students that are on fire for Jesus, excited about the gospel, and really willing to do anything. And so, so JD wanted us to kind of pour into that pool and use their giftings and call them out. And so, target audience is primarily collegiate graduates. But honestly, if you feel called to take your job to go to Pittsburgh to serve the people of Pittsburgh, right? And you just went to a trade school or something like that. Like, if God's calling you, we want to help you get there as well.
Listen, I feel like part of your role is pouring gas on the fire of students' lives so that they can go and really serve in strategic cities across North America.
Yep.
Now, part of it, all of us have had the opportunity to serve on mission experiences, even lead mission teams, mission trips before.
Right.
Brock's taking a mission team here in the next couple months, actually. We're doing the same. And so, Dithson, why is it so important for high school and college students to serve on mission during those years of their life?
Wow, that's a tough question, but I think it's just formative.
Sure.
Right? When I'm in high school and I get exposed to the amount of poverty in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And just seeing how hard it is for people to succeed and get what they need. God may place a desire in my heart that says, man, you know what? I feel called to the people that are dealing with poverty, you know, and it might not be in Kentucky, but it's somewhere else, right? It might be in LA, but God instantly like reveals that to you, and like so you bring students on a mission trip, you know, and they get to experience different things that automatically triggers, man, I could see myself serving these types of people for the rest of my life, or I could see myself serving, you know, refugees in Clarkston, Georgia, and all the refugee cities in the country. Hey, I want to move to one of these cities and serve the refugees because I'm burdened by what is happening to them and just the need, the necessity for them to hear the gospel, right? So,
yeah, you know, I had a mission trip leader one time tell me that there's two types of people that come back from a mission trip. People that have good stories and people that come back changed. Wow. So it sounds like what you're saying is that there's so many students that, whether in high school, middle school, college, they come back and they're forever changed by what they've been exposed to. Now, I can also think of the student who's maybe hearing you. This is really interesting to them, but they're maybe feeling a little bit of tension because they're seeing graduation in the distance. You're saying, hey, after you graduate, come with us for 2 years. And they're saying, man, I need to start my life. I need to start making some money. My parents want me to use this degree. So maybe what's your best sales pitch? Why spend 2 years after you graduate college to go and do this?
You can spend 2 years after college to do this because it won't be a waste of time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. God is, if God is calling you to do something, he will always provide.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, 2 years down the road, you might not have acquired as much wealth or income as you desired. But hey, God is going to provide for you. God is going to take care of you. I remember when a pastor said to me, hey, Dithson, if the Holy Spirit is calling you to do this, then he'll provide for you. And the Holy Spirit has provided. And that source of encouragement I always give to everyone else. We have a student, Soraya, who moved to Boston, and she was going to start her degree and work for aeronautical stuff that, you know, I was a psychology major.
Big money stuff. Yeah. I mean, stuff that's way out of our pay grade.
You know what I'm saying? When she said aero, I thought she was talking about archery. So she moved up there, and what happened was, hey, she started just being tossed around in a company, right? But she was serving so hard in her church that the pastor said, hey, why don't we try to figure out a way for you to go, you know, full time doing this? So she's serving in her church when she went up there with a different purpose, right? And she loves it. God provided for her. Another dude, Trip, he was in Salt Lake City, and he just met somebody at a park and said, oh yeah, I'm an engineering major, you know, and they were running around the park just sharing. I guess they're sharing the gospel with people. And a lady said, hey, you're an engineering major? I work at an engineering firm. Here's a card, you know. Now he's working a job at that firm, right? If God is calling you, he felt called to go to Salt Lake City. God provided for him. So, yes, there are like some things that we really have to, you know, consider and think about, but also Go2 doesn't make you give up your job. You could work your job, but really it's like being a marketplace missionary.
Okay.
A lot of people feel like calling is, hey, if I'm called, that means I have to be a pastor,
right,
or a missionary. No, God has called all of us, right? All of us have different capacities in which, like, we glorify God and we live out the mission that he's given to us. And so so Go2 allows you to do that as a worker, right? We want to help people see, like, it's healthy to work and to serve your church.
And that's one of the things I love about Go2 is you're saying, hey, God's called you to this career. Use it and leverage it to serve people who have great need in far off cities. And so I think this is one of the cool things. Kansas City is one of the big initiatives with Go2. Hey, move and partner alongside a church plant in Kansas City and just get a job there and live your life. And but while you do, be strategic in joining a church and partnering with the mission of God. It's an incredible opportunity.
Yep.
So
indeed,
what would you say are the hurdles that, as you talk to students and coach them through that college, thinking about the next phase of their life, What are the things that often keep people from living missionally those first couple years after college?
Really, I think it's just practical things, housing.
Yep.
The different things that come up in the city. We're just coming out of COVID, right? So there's different things that may come up in the city that says, hey, I got to go back to wherever, to where I was. And so, just practical things, housing, transitioning. And I think the big key is getting the ministry that they're coming from to partner with the ministry that they're going to.
Sure.
Is big. That relationship, because I don't want people to fall off in that part of transitioning. Hey, they're entrusting us, right, to make sure that they land in a city and in a church that's going to love and care and pour into them. And so I just think it's getting that relationship between the campus ministry or church ministry that they're coming from and the city that they're going to.
Well, let's be honest. Every transition of a person's life is an opportunity for them to flounder spiritually. Transition from middle school to high school, from high school to college, college to whatever's next.
Yep.
And so it really starts years before the transition happens, like to plan and prepare. How am I going to honor God in this transition? So if we had some big takeaways for, let's say, a 16-year-old student right now thinking about their next couple years. One, you've told them, hey, you need to serve on a mission trip. Like, it exposes you to what God's doing. It helps transform your heart. Two, you need to think through, like, what's next, not just in college, but even what could be after that and how you could start planning and preparing for it. So what other big takeaways would you give to a 16-year-old student with their life ahead of them?
All right, a 16-year-old student, I'm saying, hey, start thinking about university, right? When you visit a university, look to see what kind of campus ministry they have. Is the campus ministry active? Are they a very missional campus ministry? What is going on there? So you want to make sure that you're strategic also in where you go, right? So that the people you spend your next 4 years with in college, they're going to pour into you, and they're going to make sure that you really live out what God has called you to live out, right? So be strategic about where you go and you spend your life, right?
Yeah.
Next thing is I would say look into really getting someone to mentor you and disciple you.
That's big.
Start, just look around your church and say, hey, just if you notice somebody who has something you desire, the way you see them worship, the way you see them talk to people, and just say, hey, I want to be like that. Say, hey, can you, disciple me? Because we're going to always need counselors as we're navigating, this world. So, I'll say look into that ministry and make sure you have a discipleship relationship.
Dithson, one of the things that inspires me about you is you're of Haitian descent, so your family comes from. Yep, your family comes from. I don't know what that means.
Nobody knows. Except if you're Haitian and listen to this.
So you come from Haiti, and everywhere you've been since the moment you came from Christ or came to know Christ, you've just lived missionally. And so you moved to Louisville, you started a church there, and now I
partnered with the church plant that I started.
Yeah, partnered with the church plant and moved into a neighborhood where you could do missionary work. And in fact, you were telling us a story the other day of how one of your neighbors who folks told you, he's probably doing drugs, called you the local missionary.
Yes, he did.
So tell us about how a student right now can prepare themselves for a lifetime of being a missionary wherever they are.
Man, that's a tough question. I would say really what motivated me was the fact that I had a lot of friends that I thought, man, these guys aren't going to go to heaven. Yeah. Like they'll spend the rest of their eternity in hell. And something happened to where God allowed me to see, and when He said, "Hey, pray for the workers. No, pray for workers to go out to the harvest because the harvest is plentiful and the workers are few." And I just came to the realization, man, I can't keep praying for other people to go do the work. I need to do the work. And that really just transformed the way I started engaging people. I had a solid church that helped me live missionally. They're supportive of the crazy stuff that I was doing.
Yep.
But also just God protected me and guided me on the way. So, man, just see yourself as the person that God has told many to pray for those workers to go out. You know, wherever it is, whatever capacity you have to, whether it's trafficking, all poverty, just many different types, adoption, foster care, wherever it is, just see that, hey, maybe God is calling me to do that work.
Wow.
And that's kind of, messed me up because I haven't been able to focus so much, because whenever I see something, I love the inner city everywhere. I'll see something happen in the inner city. I say, man, I want to go up there to do that, or I want to go up there. And so, hey, God may be calling you to be the person that goes out into the harvest.
Absolutely. And what a cool thing that we get to be the answer to Jesus' prayer when we go out into the harvest. We're the answer to Jesus' prayer that workers are being sent out. And I think a lot of times for students and college students, that's exciting, that's invigorating, but I know for most high school students and even college students, though it changes, parental influence can be a big factor when it comes to being sent. I heard a pastor one time say, we do a phenomenal job celebrating when our young men and women desire to serve in the Army, the Navy, whatever that might be, as we should. We don't necessarily celebrate enough whenever, students desire to go into some type of ministry role. If anything, sometimes it causes a lot of apprehension for parents, depending on where they're going. So what do you say maybe to the parent listening? We have a few parents, church leaders. Yeah. What do you say to the parent as far as encouraging them in this? But also, what do you say to that student maybe who desires to go, but the parent is a little bit hesitant? How do you approach that respectfully, honoring them and their role over your life, but also doing what God has called you to do?
Man, Sarah Farley, if you guys know Sarah Farley.
Works with IMB as a mobilizer. Yeah.
Yes, she has the best answer for this. So if anybody really needs answers to this question, ask Sarah Farley, IMB mobilizer. But I would say, hey, I'm a parent. My son is 2 years old right now.
Okay.
When I told my mom, hey, I want to move back into the hood, she's like, what? Are you crazy? Like, how hard we work years and years and years to make sure, like, you don't have to be there, Yeah. But I was like, no, God's calling me. She said, I'm not smart. That word for people that's not smart. Well, she just cares about, she cares about me, right?
And that grandbaby.
Yes. But, my mom had a different motivation. My mom, she's not Christian, what I mean? She's not motivated by the Great Commission. She doesn't understand that, hey, man, I want to see people come to know Jesus, and I don't feel like people are really sharing the gospel in this area. Yeah. And so I just encourage the parents with this is, hey, Jesus loves your child more than you loves your child.
Amen.
And Jesus wants the best for your child more than you want the best for your child.
Does.
And I say that in the most respectful way possible. That God is not gonna throw your child in the wind. He's gonna protect them.
Yeah.
And just think about the way that He's walked with them already through their lives. And so you could trust that, especially if you're a praying parent, that God will hear your prayers and respond to your prayers as well. So,
Dithson, I think the single biggest takeaway for me in this conversation was, don't anticipate that God's sending somebody else when He's placed you there. Like that is convicting to me. Like I can't pray, God, would you send this person to reach my grandmother when God's placed me in her life? Yep. Like it's my responsibility to trust God to use me in those situations. So if you had a final word for 16 to 26-year-olds kind of navigating through life and how they can lead out in their faith, what would it be?
My last word. God has given us pastors, elders, and teachers to equip us for the work of the ministry, equip the church for the work of the ministry. We can't leave the work of the ministry to the pastor, elders, and teachers. That has been given to us.
Wow.
So I think, 16, 26-year-olds, man, we have tons of time ahead of us. We have a lot of opportunity, and there's so much that we could transform at the ages that you guys are at right now. So, man, I just pray that you realize, hey, God has a purpose for you, and there's potential that you probably haven't even tapped yet. You haven't even seen what God could do for you, but just trust the people He's put over you, and trust the people that He's called to guide you to live your life on mission.
Wow. Dithson, I'm so thankful you got to come and be a part of Lead Defend podcast. Remember, for those of you listening, Lead Defend Conference happens every year in March, and so go to leaddefend.org for more information on that. It's going to be great. But also, Go2 Years is an initiative we're excited about, and they can go to go2years.net. The number 2, not the word 2. Go2years.net, and you can learn more information there and get connected directly to Dithson, and he can help mobilize you to a specific city where you can serve and utilize your gifts in a church plant. Hey, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it,
Dithson.
Thanks.
And until next time, this has been Lead Defend.
That's it for this episode of Lead Defend. To hear more episodes from the Lead Defend crew, visit absc.org/podcasts. If you liked what you heard, rate and review us on your favorite podcast listening site. Want to learn more information about the next Lead Defend conference? Visit leaddefend.org.